Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up to Gnesta in Södermanland near Stockholm, and this is another brewery who I have never tried anything from before, a very small brewery actually. So for this one we're going to go to Den Bryggande Holländaren, the Bridging Dutchman, I believe it is, and we're having a taste of their Empirical Stout today, which comes in at 6.8%, and it should be quite interesting. As I always say, it's good to try beers from new breweries and from different places, but this is a very small Swedish craft brewery that probably not a lot of people have heard of actually, so really looking forward to this one, and I hope you guys enjoyed the review as well. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from Den Bryggande Holländaren. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beer from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review, especially if you're watching in Sweden, because there's breweries like this who I'm probably not going to hear of actually unless I go raking through Systembolaget, so do get in touch and tell me those. But it's always interesting to hear from you guys, and the support and the input that you give to the channel is always hugely appreciated, so don't hesitate to get in touch through the Twitter, Untappd, Facebook, whatever you like. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Den Bryggande Holländaren then. So this brewery, as I mentioned to you, are based in Gnesta in Södermanland near Stockholm. It's a little bit to the southwest actually, but Stockholm is massive, and it's probably an hour or so away from Stockholm actually. But this town only has about 5,500 people, and it was actually home to the Holmen brewery from 1870 up until the 1960s. But throughout the new wave of craft brewing that's hitting Sweden, this little town is actually a little bit of a mecca these days. They're home to 3 breweries and 1 distillery. So in addition to these guys, you've got the Gnesta distillery, the Södermans Handverk brewery, and also Gnesta Hems brewery as well. So quite a lot of things going on in this little town. But Den Bryggande Holländaren were founded back in 2013 by husband and wife team Wilbert Dulvestein, if I've pronounced that correctly. He's Dutch, and Teresa McGovern, who is from America. Husband and wife team, of course. But they moved to Sweden a few years ago from Rotterdam, and Wilbert said that he basically wanted to kind of take his passion for brewing and become professional. So they've decided to combine Dutch brewing and Swedish brewing techniques and tradition, if you like, so that's why it's called the Bridging Dutchman. Although when I was kind of researching whether it was the Brewing Dutchman or the Bridging Dutchman, there seemed to be a bit of a weirdness with Google Translate that, because I thought Bryggning was actually brewing in Swedish, which I'm pretty sure it is, and Bryggande seems to be the bridging one. So yeah, it's meant to be the Bridging Dutchman, of course. But he had been a home brewer for quite a long time. As I say, he wanted to turn professional, and initially he wanted to actually brew 500-litre batches of beers, all individual beers, but he decided that this would be there would be a lot of demands, I guess, from the consumers and things like this, so he decided to go with a kind of small core range of beers in order to get them into Systembolaget, so the brewery could become a little bit more known, and they seem to be doing quite well. They are one of the newer breweries on the block, and I'm sure we'll see them grow over the next few years. So yeah, if you get the chance to try some of the Den Bryggande Holländaren beers, then give them a go. A very new brewery on the scene, and you can get these beers through Systembolaget all throughout Sweden, which, when it's a small brewery like this, I was quite surprised at actually, because some of the small breweries only kind of allow the beers to be in their own county, which can be frustrating for me, but some breweries just don't want to grow their business beyond their own county, and that's fair enough. So yeah, just to list the other beers you can get from these guys, there's the Blonde Sonia, which is a Belgian style ale. Most of the beers are in fact Belgian actually. There's the Don't Fledder Yourself, which is supposed to be a kind of herb beer, sort of special herb beer. They've got the Empirical Stout, which is this guy here, I'm Dreaming of a Wheat Christmas, Red Sonia, which is supposed to be a Flanders kind of red style beer, and they also have Rye Cycled as well, which is really interesting. They use they ferment using rye bread from one of the local bakeries or something like that, so I need to try and get a hold of that one sometime and see how that is, because that sounds like it could be a very interesting beer. And if you've watched my channel before, you will know that I absolutely love German rye bread and things, so I'd be really interested to try that one out. So yeah, that's enough about the brewery just now. As I say, go and check out the brewery website in the description below if you want to learn more. I'll post one of the articles down there that I used to find information on this brewery as well, but they seem to be quite a nice little brewery. They've got a really good website as well, so do make sure you check it out. But let's get on to the tasting section of this video then. So this, the little bit in Swedish on the back here, I can't really translate it directly for you, but it basically tells you that this one is a 6.8% stout. It's brewed with chocolate and black malts, some oats, oak smoked wheat malts, and also it has some homemade candy syrup as well. It tells you a little bit about the flavours, but of course we are going to learn about that when we actually taste it. But yeah, looking really quite nice, this one. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork before we open it up. As I said, it comes in at 6.8%. There you can see the bottle cap on this one, a not so subtle reference to Breaking Bad, of course. And this is actually what Wilbert looks like. He's got big curly hair and he wears glasses, so obviously it is a reference to Breaking Bad, I'm pretty sure, especially when you have the periodic table on there. I do like that, of course, with my chemistry background that I have. But this was really nice. That was what made me buy this beer, actually, was the fact that it had the periodic table on it. It was just me being geeky, of course, but it looks really nice, nicely presented. This one, it tells you in the back there, you can see the little symbol for Bryggande Holländaren again, and yeah, 6.8% stout. It's got all these nice malts in it, so without further ado then, let's get this guy open and we'll get on with the tasting. Looking forward to this one. So yeah, this is one of the things you always have to watch a little bit with bottle conditioned beer. But we'll just pour this one slowly and see how we get on. You can smell some of the nice sweet chocolate from this beer as it's coming out and into the glass. It does smell really chocolatey, and there's a wee bit of a kind of candied red fruit ester coming out of this one too, but it looks very, very nice. So as you can see, it's poured exactly as you would expect of a stout. It's a nice sort of dark ebony rosewood colour. If I hold it up to the light, there's actually quite a little bit of a red ruby edge to this one. I'm seeing that's making the camera very bright. It must be reflecting the light over there, but it looks very, very nice. There's actually quite a bit of carbonation visible in this one, and I can see quite a little bit of sediment particles as well. That does tend to be a bit more common when it comes to the likes of Belgian and Dutch style beers, of course. But yeah, really nice looking beer, this one. As I say, you can smell that big chocolatey character coming off this and some of the red fruity esters. But you can see there's a finger and a half of a frothy beigey tan head on this one. Quite a little bit of carbonation going up towards the bottom of the head and some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass. But it looks very, very nice. So let's have a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Yeah. That's interesting. It's got the smoke malts that are coming out in this one. You can really smell that straight up. It's got a really nice... It's a little bit meaty and it's also a little bit peaty at the same time. Because you can smell a little bit of the bready character as well. It's almost the smokiness is in there, and then the sort of bready character, the wheaty, kind of almost rye breadish character in this one is coming out of the aroma. It's really nice. Beer does smell really, really good. This is exactly what I'd want from a stout. I love smoked beers. If you've watched my channel before, you will know my spiral into alcoholism began with the Bamberg Rauch beers, the Spezial and the Schlenkerla, of course. I absolutely love smoked beer. But yeah, that does smell really nice. Just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this beer. As I always say, that's half the experience when it comes to craft beer. But this is nice. So there's a bit of sweet chocolate in there as well. You can smell some of the sort of, you can smell a little bit of an almost coffee or, yeah, you can smell a little bit of the roasted black malts in there, but it's kind of saturated a little bit by the smoky character that comes out of it. The black malts, the roasted black malt character is suppressed by the smoky side of the beer. To me, the smokiness actually is leaning more towards the meaty side of smoky than the earthy sort of peaty side of the smoke. But it does smell really nice. There's maybe a little element of brown sugar in there, a sort of toasty brown sugar character, though it doesn't have caramel or anything like that in the brew. It does smell a little bit like the, you can get a little bit of that brown sugar. It's probably the candied syrup, which is maybe why it just smells a little bit different than normal. But the smokiness, the sort of, this kind of brown sugar element is mixing in with the smokiness as well. The smokiness is the thing that's kind of binding everything together. You can get a little bit of earthy hop, of course, as well. And when you're a bit further away from it, you can pick up a slight candied red fruit ester to the beer. It really is it's a lovely smelling beer. Just take a bit of time with this and enjoy the aroma. It really has got quite a bit going on. It's quite complex actually, and that's impressive for a stout that's only 6.8%. So yeah, without further ado then, let's get stuck into this one. So this one is the Empirical Stout from Den Bryggande Holländaren Brewery up in Gnesta in Södermanland here in Sweden. Skål! It's pretty nice. It's a lot lighter than I was expecting actually. I was expecting this beer to be a big kind of thick sort of syrupy thing, but it's not quite. It's a lot lighter. It is just a lot lighter in the mouthfeel, and it's a lot less. It's a bit less smoky than I was expecting as well. I think it's fair to say that. It's got a nice, the malt base, the middle of your palate is just kind of blanketed with this sort of, you can feel the black malts just underpinning this one. There's a bit of bready character on top of that. It's almost like a kind of roasted bread crust sort of thing with this one. There's not that sweet rye bread character that I was picking up in the aroma. But yeah, just sugar this beer around your palate a little bit, because once your mouth adjusts to it, you can kind of appreciate it properly. There is quite a bit going on in it, but it's a lot more subtle. I mean, the nose really does lean more towards the smoky side of things, but this beer is definitely more about how the flavours blend together rather than having something that is quite punchy. But yeah, that's pretty nice. But it's different. It's actually quite different to a lot of stouts I've had recently. I've been reviewing a lot of imperial stouts for you on the channel, and this one is a complete change of pace from that. This one's a bit lighter and a bit more easy drinking, so you just have to bear that in mind with this beer. But like I said, black malt's underpinning this beer, a little bit of an almost of a kind of thicker, slightly breadier character just on top of that. It's smoother like wheat. It's not the kind of rye, the slightly sweet rye bread character that I was expecting. The black malts start to push their way out a little bit more. That roasty bitter character starts to push its way out a little bit more as you progress further and further into the aftertaste. The hops are quite simple in this beer too. It's mainly an earthy hop, and there is a little bit of bitterness to it on the side of the palate, and as you go round the front curve of the tongue, it does become just that little bit smoother. But as the beer starts to warm a little bit, and as your mouth starts to adjust to the beer, and you should sugar this beer around in your mouth a little bit and just let the whole palate adjust, and then you'll pick up the complexity in the beer. There's a nice, you can feel the smokiness in this beer just coming out. It's not really quite meaty. It is more of a sort of not sooty, a kind of black smoky smoke. It blends together quite well with these roasted black malts that are in the beer. I'm not getting too much of the brown sugar right enough. I'm not getting too much sweetness from the candied syrup that they've put in this beer. There is a little bit of it in the middle of the palate, but really it's almost drowned out a little bit from the smoky side of the beer. But you can, if you just pay attention to the middle of your palate, you can feel a little bit of it there, but really it's the smoky aspect of the beer and some of these black malts that are kind of dominating the flavour. And it is quite nice in that regard. You know, in terms of a stout that's not an imperial stout, this one is pretty good, and it's got quite a bit of complexity to it that can keep you interested in it. So it really is quite well done in that regard when you think about it. But I like this, you know. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. The one thing I would say about it though, if we go on to the mouthfeel now, it is a little bit light-bodied. I think this beer would be a really nice one as a sort of cask ale, these old English-style pump casks that we have. If this beer was conditioned as a cask ale, which isn't very common in Sweden, I think that would benefit this beer a bit more and just get a bit of a slightly thicker mouthfeel to it. I really think that could bring out some of the smoky characters and a bit more of the candied syrup in this one maybe, but it's really quite nicely done this. I do like the complexity that the beer has, and as it's warming you can feel that growing, so maybe it just needs to be a little bit warmer than it actually is at this point when I'm tasting it, but it really is, it's quite a nice one. I mean, it's 6.8%. For me, this is quite a nice stout. In terms of recommending this one, if you like your stouts to be sort of, if you like them to kind of lean more towards the smooth side of things, then you're going to enjoy it in this regard. This isn't a very sweet stout, it's more, the roasty character likewise isn't too big in this one. This one is just more of a smooth, kind of easier drinking stout. The smoky character in it is very smooth. It's not quite meaty, it's not quite peaty, it's somewhere in the middle of that, and it blends together quite well. This one doesn't really have a big punchy flavour to it. I would say that about this beer. This is a smoother, kind of easier drinking stout, so if that's your kind of thing, this is the one you're going to enjoy. But with this, I would say it's mid-bodied, but it's at the lower end of the mid-bodied range. The mouthfeel it's a little bit oily, but it doesn't have the kind of creamy aspect that you'd normally expect of a stout or an imperial stout or something like that. The carbonation is fairly moderate. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that. The beer does have a little bit of oily character to it, but the carbonation is quite moderate. The mouthfeel does become quite smooth as your palate adjusts to it, but the malt base mainly is quite smooth. There's not too much sweetness to this beer, just a little bit from the brown sugars. The smokiness isn't too sweet, I would say. The black malts have a little bit of bitter character in there as well, but not too much. The smokiness kind of saturates the what you would maybe expect as a bitter character from the black malts. But it really is it's quite nice how it just blends together. The hops are smooth. There's a wee tiny little bit of a red fruity ester in this one as well. Like, if you just pay attention to that little oily bubble behind the front curve of your tongue, if you just go behind it, you'll feel that little oily bubble, and that's where some of these red fruity esters come out. You can detect a little bit of that in this beer, and for me there's a little bit of a sort of raisin sharpness to it, and then it just smooths out and it becomes a more sort of figgy flavour. And then the smokiness, if you pay attention to that, you can feel a little bit of the smokiness, and it's almost a bit of a meaty smokiness just coming out behind it. So pay attention to that. In the aftertaste, the beer is quite smooth and almost bready, and you can just feel that little bit of meaty smokiness coming out, and some of the earthy hop as well. But overall, it's quite a nice beer. And the thing I would say about this is that it has quite a bit of complexity to it when you consider it is only 6.8%. So it is one of the low. It is a normal stout. It's not an imperial stout, this one, I would say, but it's really quite nicely done. So if you get the chance to try this from Den Bryggande Holländaren, then definitely have a go at it. The thing, as I say, the thing that caught my eye with it was the periodic table, and the reference, of course, to Breaking Bad, which is an awesome show. I have to admit that. Even with my chemistry background, the chemistry's not quite right at points, but it is an awesome show. So yeah, if you get the chance to try this one, I would recommend that you do. I'd recommend it for people who like smoky malts and their stouts to be quite smooth. That's probably if you enjoy that kind of thing, this one's going to hit the spot for you. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Make sure you check out my social media. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what other beers I should try from these guys as well. Let me know which ones are your favourite, and I hope you've enjoyed this review. Thank you once again for watching, and I will catch you very soon. This is the Empirical Stout from Den Bryggande Holländaren. If I've pronounced that correctly, I hope I have, but this one is a really quite nice beer, and it's a lower ABV stout with quite a bit of complexity. So until the next time, it's Landon just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Skål!